Welcome to another episode of the Live, Love and Eat show. Now, our special guest today is Catharine Arnston. Now, Catharine is the founder, the CEO, the Chief Scientific Officer of ENERGYbits. And she's an expert in algae for wellness, nutrition, beauty, biohacking, and longevity. She's a national recognized thought leader, seasoned corporate executive, experienced entrepreneur, and sought after speaker. Now, Catharine has an MBA, a BA Hons, and a certificate in health coaching. Now, Catharine has spent the last 12 years researching algae, writing papers, giving presentations, lecturing at conferences, and speaking on 200 plus podcasts to explain the benefits of algae. To do this, she has read thousands of scientific papers that detailed, validated, and confirmed algae's extensive nutritional, health, beauty, longevity, and sustainable benefits. Remarkable, none of this science is known by consumers. It is Catharine's vision and passion to change this, and while she is not a PhD, her scientific fluency allows her to explain algae with such simplicity and clarity. It quickly becomes obvious why algae is something we all urgently need. Now, Catharine's passion for algae is contagious, it's inspiring, and thought-provoking. Her efforts have led to algae being better understood by consumers, retailers, educators, doctors, and wellness practitioners. Even the United Nations and NASA endorse algae as the most nutrition-dense food in the world and the answer to world hunger. Now, Catharine's extensive knowledge and playful personality is both entertaining and educating, and her speaking style leaves audience informed, uplifted, and hopeful. She looks forward to doing the same for you. Welcome, Catharine.
Well, that was quite an introduction. Thank you, Bernie.
Yes. So, Catharine, before
I don't think I need to say anything now.
So, Catharine, before we, go into what algae is, can you tell us a little bit about your story? How did you get started in your career? How did you start? How did you get started?
I know it is kind of a funny specialty. I certainly wasn't planning on it. I tell people I didn't choose algae, it chose me. I am Canadian. I've lived in Boston for 30 years, over 30 years. And I only mention that because I had a corporate career. I was, doing fine. And then my younger sister in Canada developed breast cancer 13 years ago. I just want to assure everybody she's fine now, and we celebrate her being cancer-free every year. But 13 years ago, it was pretty serious. And when she went for her doctor's appointment with her oncologist to prepare for chemo, her oncologist, which is a cancer specialist, recommended that she change her diet to an alkaline diet. She said that it would just help her with her healing. Now, they didn't tell her what an alkaline diet was or why it was good for her. So the first call she made was to me, her big sister, who loves her a lot. And I'm also just a very good researcher. I probably could have gone into science. So I said, I have no idea what an alkaline diet is, but I will find out. And I did. It was basically a plant-based diet because of all the phytonutrients and the chlorophyll, which have been proven to help with your health and wellness and have been used for centuries for those purposes. So I gave her a list of foods to eat, ones not to eat. She went through chemo and she completely healed. But in the process of helping her, I started learning more about plant-based nutrition. And I started reading books and more science. And after my 10th book and my 100th scientific article, I thought, wow, somebody needs to tell the world about this plant-based nutrition stuff, because this was 13 years ago and nobody was talking about it. So I thought, I'm just a passionate person. I thought, well, I have no background. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I gave up my corporate career, went back to school, studied nutrition. Then I taught plant-based nutrition at corporations, trying to get people to eat, more vegetables. And that's what truly led me to algae, because my epiphany was that when I was teaching people on the importance of eating more vegetables, everyone said to me, well, you're not telling me anything new. My mother's been trying to get me to eat more vegetables since I was a kid, but it's too much work. Let's face it, vegetables are heavy to carry home from the grocery store. They take a long time to clean, to cook, to eat. There's endless arguments at the dinner table with your kids, with your husbands, to eat their vegetables, right? So I thought, okay, I've seen the science. I know what green vegetables do for people. If I can't get them to eat more vegetables, I have to find something that's fast and easy that gives them the nutrition of vegetables, but is effortless. Once again, I had no idea what I would find, but I just went back to everything I had discovered for my sister and just did a deeper dive on it. Nothing was working. And then it took me months before I ended up with algae. And that's when the miracle happened, because it turns out algae, first of all, is the most alkaline food in the world. And that's what got me started on all this. Next is algae is the most nutrient dense food in the world. It's been endorsed by NASA as having 1,000 times more nutrition than any other fruit or vegetable. That's a big number, 1,000. And I'm going to show you, at least we sell ours in tiny tablets that look like this. And each one of these tablets is so nutrient dense that it has the same nutrition as an entire plate of vegetables. So while I'm talking to you, I just had the equivalent of a plate of vegetables. So alkaline, nutrient dense, it's been endorsed by the United Nations since 1974, so almost 50 years, as the answer to world hunger, because it has the highest concentration of protein in the world. Algae has 3 times the amount of protein as steak or fish or chicken. That's crazy, right? Algae is also the most studied food in the world. There's almost 100,000 studies on spirulina and chlorella. Those are the 2 algae we're going to talk about today that are harvested as food crops. They don't grow in the ocean. They're grown in fresh water, like kale. So it's been endorsed by all these international agencies, documented in scientific papers all around the world for almost 100 years. It's been used in Asia for over 50 years, where it's as big of an agricultural crop as animal farming is here. It's a multi-billion-dollar agricultural crop in Asia. The Japanese, they don't leave their house without chlorella algae every day. I'm going to show you a picture of an algae farm, because people think algae, our algae tablets are a supplement. And I say, no, they're just a dried vegetable. You can't show me a supplement farm, but I can show you an algae farm, because they exist. They grow in fresh water, and then we just air dry the dried the algae into a powder, and then we just press the powder into tiny tablets that we call bits, because they're cute and because they're bits of nutrition. So armed with all that information that's been safely used, endorsed internationally, the most nutrient dense food in the world, 1,000 times more chlorophyll than greens, 3 times the amount of protein as steak. And that the only problem with algae is that people outside of Asia didn't know about it, and that the quality had been poor because most of it came from China. So I thought, okay, oh, and when you take the tablets, you can swallow 1 or 2 or 5 or 10. I have sometimes 100 a day, but 5 or 10 a day is plenty. But now it's effortless. Now you never have to fight with your kids. If you can swallow water, because a lot of people don't like the taste, you can get the nutrients that you need instantly and effortlessly. Also, they never go bad. How many of us throw out mushy tomatoes or yellow arugula, right? I mean, there's so much waste in our vegetables, and they don't have the same nutrition that they used to have 50 years ago anyway. So algae, you can keep it for 10 years and it will never go bad. So there's zero waste. It saves you time. It saves you money. And like I said, it's effortless. No more fights with your kids, your husbands, and they're safe for your grandparents, your newborns, your pets. I mean, what food is safe for everybody, right?
I know. I mean, I didn't even know about algae, when I started using your products. Like I said, I saw such a difference when I start using it. And what I like about it, it's not big tablets. So, you can put it in your smoothies, you can chew it, or if you don't like the taste, you can drink it with water or juice or something. So, it's very convenient on that side as well. Tell our listeners, who needs algae and why do they need it?
Yes. Well, frankly, everybody needs algae. because our food supply is so damaged. There's no nutrients in the soil anymore. So even if you are eating vegetables, you're getting fiber and you're getting calories, but you're not getting nutrition.
Mhm.
The ozone layer is so damaged. They've done studies on the plants and they have higher sugar now. And again, less chlorophyll and less nutrients. So, and our illnesses, especially our chronic illnesses, now this is heart disease, diabetes, cancer, ADHD, indigestion, poor sleep habit, all of these issues are related to two main things. The first one is that our bodies are not getting the nutrients they need to perform optimally. And number two is that there are too many toxins in our world that are gotten into our bodies, and our immune systems were not developed to sustain such a heavy toxic load. So those two combined are the perfect storm for causing weight gain, inflammation, all sorts of issues, brain health, digestive issues, sleep issues, eliminate everything. I don't know anybody, unless they're taking algae, who doesn't have a health and wellness issue. So everybody needs it, but let's break it down because there's two algae that we're going to talk about today, and they do completely different things in your body, and I want you to understand what they are. But first, let me just give you a bit of a backgrounder on algae. The very amazing thing is it was the first life on Earth almost 3.5 billion years ago. Before algae, Earth was just gas and water. I have no idea what got algae started growing, but it did. And then spirulina was the first algae, and then chlorella was about 1 billion years later. Now algae releases oxygen while it's growing. And after a couple of billion years of it growing, there was enough oxygen on Earth for other life forms to start growing. And humans, we showed up, only about 800 million years ago, but algae's been here a lot longer than we are. So you got to think there's something special. That was the first life on Earth and it's still here. So that's number one. Number two, algae is everywhere. And there's two main types of algae. One is called macroalgae and the other one is microalgae. We're going to be mostly talking about microalgae, but let me tell you what macroalgae is. It's that stringy stuff that washes up on shore, also known as seaweed or kelp or dulse. Now it's called seaweed because it's only found in the sea. It's only found in the ocean. Now it has benefits because it's very high in fiber and very high in iodine because it comes from the ocean. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about microalgae, which is called microalgae because it's microscopic in size. Something like 1 million of these cells would fit on the head of a pin. That's how tiny it is. And unlike seaweed, which is only in the sea, microalgae is everywhere. It's probably in your fingernails even, certainly mine because I eat so much of it. But it's in the oceans, the rivers, the lakes, the streams, soil. You'd be surprised to know it's in the soil, in your swimming pool, and it grows everywhere. Now there's lots of microalgae in the ocean, and the two main strains are called blue-green and green. But the two strains that we're going to talk about, is a blue-green algae, and it's called spirulina, and the other one is a green algae, and it's called chlorella. However, there are thousands of other strains in the ocean. So if you read an article on the internet that talks about the toxic blue-green algae bloom that closed off your favorite beach, they're not talking about the algae I'm talking about today. The algae I'm talking to you today about is grown in fresh water. It's called hydroponic. It's the same way kale or sometimes tomatoes are grown. So there's other strains of algae, but not the ones we're talking about. So don't panic if you read about blue-green algae bloom in the ocean. And by the way, I'd like to point out, poor algae, I feel like I'm an algae spokesperson. Algae gets a bum rap because algae only shows up when there's bacteria. Algae kills bacteria. So it's actually the cleanup crew, but it's the most visible part. And so the reason why it shows up is because there's too much glyphosate probably running off from agriculture, or maybe there's too many people peeing in the water at a beach or something. But algae isn't the bad guy. Algae is actually the good guy. And it takes a lot of heat from people, but it's actually there to protect us. And just as proof of that, you will be interested to know that every single water treatment plant in North America has algae. They filter all the water through algae because it kills bacteria. So
very interesting.
Cool. Pretty interesting.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I also want to talk about, how does algae help with COVID-19? COVID-19 is out there, and, how does it help with COVID-19?
Right. Well, again, the two algae are quite different. The spirulina is, and we call ours ENERGYbits because it primarily gives you energy and it satisfies your hunger. So it's a blue-green algae, so I package it in blue. The reason why it gives you so much energy is because it has the highest concentration of protein in the world, and all of the proteins already in amino acids, and they get absorbed instantly because spirulina is technically a bacteria, has no cellulose wall. So it gets absorbed very quickly, has high beta vitamins that convert the protein into energy, glucose. It has boron that helps with your brain thought, essential fatty acids that help with reducing inflammation. So it's very nourishing and very energizing. Not crazy energy, because it's not like there's no caffeine, chemicals, or sugar. It's very steady energy. And then let me quickly tell you about chlorella, which is a green algae, and we call ours ENERGYbits because it's a wellness algae, so it helps you recover your health. Now, generally, spirulina is used in the morning for energy and hunger. There's 0 carbs, so if you're doing intermittent fasting, it doesn't interfere with your fast. And because chlorella is a wellness algae and it has a hard cell wall that attaches to toxins, this pulls out toxins and chemicals, anything. It has the highest concentration of chlorophyll in the world. Chlorella has 1,000 times more chlorophyll than Chinese greens, 500 times more chlorophyll than arugula, and spirulina has the highest protein. So this is protein and this is chlorophyll, and we all know that chlorophyll is so good for you. Yeah. So most people take the chlorella before they go to bed, because that's when you have your body goes through a detox and repair cycle. So that being said, they both help with COVID, but in different ways. Spirulina, the blue-green algae, now normally we don't refer to it as a healing algae because that's primarily the wellness algae called ENERGYbits, which is chlorella. And United Nations used it after Chernobyl to pull out radiation. Biological dentists use it to pull out mercury when they take out fillings. It's been used for Crohn's disease, IBS, because of the high chlorophyll, which is very cleansing, and the hard cell wall that pulls out toxins, and it has fiber, which feeds the gut biome. But when it comes to COVID, spirulina has a couple of really cool attributes. This is, again, it's the blue one, which we call ENERGYbits. One of the things is, as you've learned, the virus enters your body primarily through your nose and your lungs, and that's because it enters your body through something called the ACE2 receptor cells. I'm getting a little geeky, but this is, and most of those cells are in your mouth and your nose and your throat and your lungs. So that's how the virus gets in. Mm-hmm. Now, the interesting thing about spirulina, it has 2 pigments, a blue one, which is called phycocyanin, and it also has the green one, which is called chlorophyll. That blue pigment sits on top of your ACE2 receptor cell and intercepts the virus. So it actually can't get in to your body. That's pretty cool. And as proof of that, the University of Pittsburgh Pharmacology Department has developed a nose spray vaccine based on this principle. So that's pretty darn cool as far as I'm concerned. That's pretty amazing. And you can read all this science. I don't say anything, by the way, that I don't have a scientific document to validate it. So you can go on our website, ENERGYbits.com, and on the upper navigation bar, there's a section, a drop down where you can get information about COVID, and you'll read all the information about it. So that's one of the main things that ENERGYbits, the spirulina, does, is that it intercepts that virus. Now, the other thing is, once, let's say the virus does get into your system for whatever reason, then you have another part of your immune system that will identify it, attack it, kill it, and remove it. Now, that's the hard part of the immune system people don't understand, because you can't see it. And the reason why you can't see it is because your immune system, that part of your immune system, is made in your gut. And it's made of cells that go out and identify, attack, kill, and remove the virus or any invader. So it's things like T cells, B cells, killer cells, macrophages. And I know these are all scientific terms, but the way that they get created to do all these cool things, like superheroes in your gut, right, is that they use the nutrition that you eat to create all these fabulous things that go out there full, arms, guns flying. But if you don't give your immune system, your gut, the nutrients it needs, things like zinc and A and B12 and amino acids, it can't defend you very well because it doesn't have the ammunition. And the way I describe it to people is that, your mouth and your nose, which are part of your immune system, think of them as like your security system at home. It identifies when there's an invader. So that's part one. Part two, which I just described, which is all these killer cells and B cells and T cells that your gut creates. That's like when your security system triggers the police department and they come to your house and they take out the burglar. So your gut, making all of these fabulous cells that defend you, your superheroes in your stomach, they need to be fed or they can't work for you. And everything they need are primarily in the chlorella algae, but to a certain degree also the spirulina. So and it helps build your immune system anyways, separate from just the COVID or viruses. It has, as I mentioned, the highest chlorophyll in the world. And if you ever had any doubt about the importance of chlorophyll, I'm going to show you a chart that shows you the chemical composition of chlorophyll and the chemical composition of your hemoglobin, which is the red blood cells. And they are virtually identical. The only difference is your red blood cells have iron in the middle and chlorophyll has magnesium. Chlorophyll builds your blood. And when you have healthy blood, you're going to have a healthier body, you're going to have healthier brain, you're going to have healthier gut. But because our food supply is so damaged, and there's so little chlorophyll in our food, even if you are eating things that are green, that's why your arugula goes yellow after day 3. There wasn't much chlorophyll to start with. Chlorella algae, which is called chlorella because of the chlorophyll, has the highest concentration of chlorophyll in the world. So it builds your blood. One single tablet like this probably has the equivalent chlorophyll as a room full of arugula. And yet you didn't have to grow the arugula, you didn't have to carry it home, you didn't have to clean it, cook it, or even eat it. This is why I love algae tablets so much, because they're effortless for you and you get all of the protective nutrients like chlorophyll, just to mention one, of which the algae has over 40 vitamins and minerals. So it replaces most of your other supplements. It replaces fish oil, CoQ10, biotin, potassium, magnesium. I mean, it's very rich and it's food. So your body will absorb all of it. Whereas with supplements, they're made from synthetic extracts that your bodies can't recognize. So you only absorb about 10% of it. So it's pretty expensive pee. Excuse me.
Yeah, that was my next question, like what makes your algae the best? But I think you answered that question. If you want to say more, then well, it is a very good question, and that's one of the reasons why we are gaining such popularity. I started the company. Actually, I wasn't planning to start a company. I just wanted to help my sister. That's all I wanted to do. And then I learned so much. I thought, well, I could help a few more people, and then I could help a few more people. And then I discovered algae
algae. I thought, well, this is the way to really help people. So my intention and my mission and my vision has always been to help people. It's not to build I'd like to build $1 billion company, but that's only because I want to make an impact on the world. So number one, every choice I made, whether it was the strain of algae, we have the highest quality strain of algae. Other companies use the less quality strains that have fewer nutrients and less protein. So that's number one. Number two, we grow ours in triple filtered spring mountain water. We grow it in Taiwan. Most of the lower priced algae tablets are grown in China, and they use high heat to dry them because they're a low price. So they have to get to market quickly. So they have to dry it quickly. But the problem is when you use high heat, you kill the enzymes and you also deteriorate some of the nutrition. So we don't use high heat because we're not that kind of company. So all of our enzymes are intact, and that helps you absorb them better, the nutrients better. It helps with your digestion better. It's still a raw food. Other companies can't say it's a raw food because the high heat has destroyed it. We also don't put any fillers in our tablets. A lot of companies put fillers, whether they're in capsules or something, to make it look like more. We actually had somebody call us yesterday who had been using our algae. We're such high quality. We're the only algae company sold nationwide by doctors, chiropractors, functional medicine. And so this one individual, he had always been using, his doctor had always been recommending ours. And then for whatever reason, he switched over to another brand, which I won't mention. But the gentleman who was calling me, he says, I wasn't feeling very good. So I decided to start using yours. And literally, he said, within 24 hours, I felt great again. It's because the quality is so high, you can use less of ours and get far better results than if you buy something that's less expensive. And then we package it in a way that protects it, because the light will draw out the chlorophyll. It will never go bad, as I said, but it might lose some of its potency, and lots of companies sell it in bottles and they don't understand that you can't do that. And one of the things I'm proud of, which doesn't affect the well, a couple things more. We do third-party lab tests here in the United States. Everybody who grows their algae, 99% of it, by the way, is grown in Asia. Virtually none of it's grown in America. We hope one day to grow it here ourselves. But almost everybody gets lab tests from the country of origin. But because we sell through doctors and they want to see results from an FDA-approved lab, rightfully so, we spend tens of thousands of dollars to do a whole nother set of tests here to prove that nutrition is exactly what we say it is, that there are no toxins. We do another round of tests to prove there's no mycotoxins. So we are way above anybody else's testing to prove the efficacy and the safety. That's why you can be 100% confident when you give it to your children or your pets or your grandparents that it will not have toxins. And just as one example, remember I said spirulina has no cellulose wall. It's technically a bacteria, so it gets absorbed really quickly. That's why athletes love it so much. Well, chlorella has the opposite. It has the hardest cell wall in the plant kingdom. And that cell wall has to be cracked in order for your body to absorb the nutrition. Now, virtually everybody who sells chlorella uses the original technique to crack the chlorella, which is to tumble it with glass beads. It was patented by a company called Sun Chlorella. But when I was starting the company, I read that there was concern, and actually the state of California tested it and found that to be true, that as the glass heated up, lead from the glass was leaking into the chlorella. So I thought, well, that's not going to work for me. I mean, I'm creating a company to help people be better, not put lead in their body. So I said, we have to find another way to do this. And we did. And it's and that's the technique we use, which was a more expensive, more a modern technique, which is we pass the chlorella through a sound chamber, and it's the vibrations that actually crack the cell wall, similar to like a, opera singer can crack a glass with the vibrations. Somebody said to me, "Oh, your chlorella has good vibrations." So that's just one of many things that we do, that every step along the way, my priority was safety, purity, and efficacy. And I will say I'm very proud because I'm also the Chief Scientific Officer. And so I have read literally thousands of articles, science-based articles in the NIH library, and rewritten them to help explain how algae works, why it works. So there's no mystery here. It's just that the nutrients that are found in algae happen to meet the exact requirements of your body for optimal health, mental health, physical health, gut health, heart health, skin health, everything. And it's really no surprise when you think about it, because remember, algae was the first life on Earth. Yeah. And it was given to us by Mother Nature, and we are part of nature. And so when you find something that is you can't get any further down on the food chain than algae, and it feeds everything. I laugh because, we're all looking for the magic, the answer for health and wellness, and it's been sitting in front of us for billions of years, but we suffer from what we often call this shiny object phenomena, where everybody wants the newest, latest, greatest high-tech solution. But you know what? It's not, this has been around and it's been here forever. We're just now discovering all the nutritional benefits of it. And I'll just end by saying, I saw a chart a few years ago that had all the nutrient profile, especially the amino acids of mother's breast milk. And I thought, gosh, that looks awfully familiar. And sure enough, I compared it with spirulina, and they're virtually identical. Oh. Now we know that mother's breast milk is the perfect food, right? Because it's from nature and it's to feed the baby. And after the age of 2, you can't have mother's breast milk. But so spirulina, which is almost identical to mother's breast milk, is the next best thing. And let's not forget, it was given to us by Mother Nature. And so I consider spirulina Mother Nature's breast milk for us. We just have to wake up and realize the goodness that's right in front of us. So I'm trying to pretty up algae to make sure, and I design all the packaging to be attractive. I design everything, and it's my homage to Mother Nature. So, it doesn't have to be weird. It's not weird. Just had to make it accessible. So I tell people we're sort of doing for algae what Lululemon did for yoga. Lululemon didn't discover yoga, but they made it more accessible for people by helping them, just feel comfortable with their own lifestyle and doing something new. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do.
You're doing such amazing work, and I am so happy that I found your product. Like I said before, I use it and I can see so much difference. I can feel a difference in my body. So tell us, listeners, where can people, learn more about algae, and where can I purchase it, your product? I mean, I will link all your website down below, all your information, but, where can people find it?
Yes, absolutely. Well, our main website is ENERGYbits.com. It's ENERGY, B for boy, T for Tom, S for Sam. And we have 4 brands. Beauty Bits and Energy Bits are exactly the same. They're both spirulina. And the reason why there's 2 is because I found women didn't like the blue packaging, and because I started the company because of my sister, and I want women to feel comfortable, and because it does build your skin and hair. Because of the high protein and antioxidants. So think of it as a boy spirulina and a girl spirulina. So, but they're absolutely identical. Then chlorella is a green algae, and it's called ENERGYbits. And that's the one that helps you recover your health. It's a wellness algae. And then we have a 4th brand that's called Vitality Bits, which is a blend of the 2 algae. Now we have a 20% discount code that you can put in the coupon box. The code is Live, Love, Eat, all one word, no spaces in between, Live, Love, Eat, and you'll get 20% off whatever you purchase. Now I do want to point out that the bags of which are the most popular, item. They're $125. I don't want you to have sticker shock because I want you to think about this. I have a quote from NASA that says 1 gram of algae has the same nutrition as 1,000 grams of fruits or vegetables. So I did the math based on the weight of our bag and realized one bag of 1,000 tablets, which would last you 3 months if you took 10 a day and 6 months if you took 5, has the same nutrition as 551 pounds of vegetables.
Oh, wow.
So at 551 pounds of vegetables at $3 a pound for organic, because these are all organic, certified organic, that would have been $1,500 worth of nutrition, right? So you're getting $1,500 worth of nutrition for $125. And let's also not forget all the time you saved not having to go to the store, shop for everything, clean it, cook it, and eat it. And it never goes bad. So you never have to throw out your tomatoes and your mushy vegetables or your yellow arugula. So ENERGYbits.com is where you can buy everything. We have a blog. We post a very great blog every month. So just you can come and learn whatever you want. And then we also are very active on social media. So we have 2 handles at ENERGYbits, and then we have one for Beauty Bits. The Beauty Bits at Beauty Bits is a little more girly and playful. So whatever makes you happy. Now, if you're not ready for a full bag of the tablets, we do have a sample pack that you can try for $25, but your discount code works on that as well. And we also sell it on Amazon, and you can buy a couple of pouches for $5 each and try those out. But if you could start with 2 or 3 tablets, 5 or 10 a day will replace most of your other supplements. If you took 10 or 15, it's like a meal replacement. There's only 1 calorie per tablet. So if you had, let's say you had 20 tablets for lunch, that would satisfy your hunger for hours.
Oh, wow.
Give you all the nutrition that you need, all the protein you need for 20 calories, or even if it took 10 for a couple of hours, 10. There is nothing else that will satisfy your hunger and nourish your body for 10 calories, right?
That is amazing. I mean, that is just amazing. So I'll put the discount code also down below, in our podcast and down this video. It was such a pleasure to have you today.
Thank you so much.
Like I said, you are doing amazing work out there, and keep your light shining.
Yes, thank you. You too. Well, we're all here. We're all trying to help everybody get healthier. And I just remind people, algae isn't new. It's just new to you. So give it a try.
Okay. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you for being here. And, thank you. This was helpful.
You're welcome. Thank you.